Good evening, everyone. Thanks for coming out tonight. My name is Patrick Fuller. I'm the Emergency Management Director here in Charlotte County. Unfortunately, Charlotte County seems to be dealing with, if we're not responding to a disaster, we're recovering from one. This last 2 years have been very rough in our community between Ian, Helene, Milton, not to mention Idalia. And we did receive some impacts from Debbie even prior to Helene and Milton this year. I understand you have questions. We have a great group here tonight. The Florida Division of Emergency Management has sent a number of individuals who can speak to a number of their programs that will help you along with your disaster recovery, as well as some of our other state partners and federal partners. Please, if you have questions, this group here are the ones to ask. I wish more of your fellow residents of Charlotte County would have taken advantage to come here in person, but luckily it is being broadcast online. So those of you online, thank you for joining us. And I think we'll get a recording so you can refer back to this later on online. But again, thank you. I understand that this is disaster recovery is a very difficult process, very frustrating process. I am a resident of Charlotte County, have been for many years. I've had to deal with my own recovery. I sympathize, and hopefully the resources here can, if nothing, give you some answers, but hopefully some solutions as well. So thank you, and you have some good information coming your way.
Thank you, Patrick. So good evening, everyone here and those online. My name is Keith Pruitt. I'm the Deputy Executive Director for Emergency Management. So as the county manager stated, this is not an easy process. And to compound it, it's difficult to go through multiple disasters. And then you start to dig yourself out of the sand, literally and figuratively, and then you get dumped with another one. And then you get hit with another one. And we certainly appreciate and understand what you've had to endure, whether it's your first storm season or those lifelong residents that have been dealing with this off and on year after year. So the intent for us being here tonight, one, our director, our governor, everyone likes to ground truth. We really like to get that firsthand perspective. We like to know what are the omnipresent concerns that are always there. What is sitting on your minds? What is, it's easy for us to prioritize what we think and compare it to what we know. And when we hear from you, it gives us that lens and helps us really start to shape some of the ways that we can help. Sometimes we all get frustrated, and we understand that. There are things that we want to do as a state that we can't do. There are things that your county wants to do that they can't do. And there are things that FEMA wants to do that they can't do. But instead of being told no, the reason we come out and conduct these town halls is we try to figure out ways to at least work towards a yes. Can't guarantee a yes. Not everything we ask for we get. Not everything that we apply for are we eligible. But we certainly want to at least put some context to the concerns, to the issues, to the situations that you're presenting, and try to get you some solutions. So you're going to hear from different programmatic areas tonight. We're going to talk about assistance. We're going to talk about long-term recovery, mitigation strategies, some of the grants that will be available, some of the funding that you are eligible to apply for. And we'll look at all the avenues that can help assist you and aid you into recovery efforts, knowing full well not everything is possible, but nothing's going to happen. And we're here to take those questions, and we're here to hopefully either give you answers tonight or get you through your county those resources and provide what we can. So that's the intent. The other side of that point is we want to listen, and we certainly want to get better at how we respond. Because I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that's probably not the last storms we're going to deal with here in the state of Florida. I don't know if that's a brazen statement or not. What kind of statement? It's part of what makes us special. It's part of what makes us resilient. We can't be special, resilient, and understand how to battle if we don't know what we have in our quiver. We need to make sure that we arm you with those arrows. We're there with you. We want to be at this level. We want to hear from you. So we really do appreciate both you here in person and those online. As we run through the different speakers as they present their areas this evening, we will culminate. Don't hesitate. At the end of each section, if you have a question specifically for that individual, please ask. If we can't get that answered, by the time you leave here tonight, we'll have that answer. Then at the end, we'll collectively ask if there's any additional questions here in the room. And then we'll see online here through our meeting, if any of our listeners out there, if they in turn have questions that you may not have thought of, that they did, and we'll get those addressed. But at the end of the day, we're here to help. We want to help, and we want to do everything that we can, and not just the state, but leveraging our federal partners and provide every bit of resource that we can to you through your county, and hopefully into your pockets and in your homes. With that being said, the first person I'd like to bring up is our FEMA counterpart. She's here to talk about individual assistance. Ms. Miller.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Millie Diaz. I represent the FEMA Individual Assistance Program. And the first thing, if you have any damages to your primary residence or your personal property, you need to fill out an application with FEMA. There are several ways that you can do that. If you haven't done it, you have to go to the website and go to DisasterAssistance.gov. You can upload the FEMA app either on your Apple devices or your Android devices and fill out your application that way, or you can visit a disaster recovery center near you. It is very important to know that for both Milton or Helene, depending on which damages you have or both, you have until January the 7th of next year to fill out the application if you haven't done so. So that's the most important thing. The time could be extended, but as of today, December the 18th, that date is still January the 7th of next year to fill out the application. So the individual assist, FEMA has a lot of programs. FEMA has flood plain, FEMA has public assistance, and FEMA has individual assistance. Again, individual assistance is just that, help for you guys that have damages to your primary residence or your personal property. And it's divided in two big pockets, okay? Each of those pockets have a maximum amount that we can pay. The first one is housing assistance. And in housing assistance, we can pay up to $43,600. That's it. In the other need assistance, which is personal property, we can also pay up to $43,600. Okay, so depending on what kind of damages you have, you can get up to that amount. In the housing assistance, specifically, that's for repaired of your primary residence or for rental assistance if your house is unlivable for a certain period of time. We can also, under housing assistance, pay for structural damages, like you have like water wells, septic tanks, furnaces, HVAC or AC systems, and private road and bridges. Also, we can pay for some ADA, like bars or any ramp that you need to get into your house. So that's under housing assistance. And it's really important that you guys understand that housing assistance is not a substitute of your insurance. So if you have insurance, or if you answer yes, that you have either homeowners insurance, hurricane insurance, wind insurance, flood insurance, fire insurance, whatever insurance you answer yes to that question, you must go to your insurance first. FEMA will wait for you to send us either a settlement letter, which tells you whether your insurance is going to pay, and it's going to tell you the items that it's going to pay, or they're going to send you a denial letter saying we're not going to pay. Why do we need those? Because FEMA, by law, cannot duplicate benefits. So if you answer yes to any of the questions of the insurance, it's really important that when you receive that settlement or that letter, you send it to us so we can work on your case. The other bucket that we have, it's other need assistance, and that's for your personal property. That covers damages to your vehicle. If your primary vehicle got damaged or destroyed, That is the portion of the for transportation, funeral assistance, disaster-related medical assistance, disaster-related dental assistance. We also can help with moving and storage and with miscellaneous items. Those miscellaneous items could be a generator that is medically needed for someone in the house. If you have a person that is insulin dependent and you need to have that refrigerator running 24/7 and you purchase a generator, we can help you pay for that generator. We just need to know that that generator is medically needed for a person that it lives in the house. And obviously, we're gonna need the receipts that purchased. What happens once you fill out? And under normal circumstances, once you fill out your application, we send an inspector out. That inspector might take 7 to 10 days to give you a call and say, hey, Millie, we received your application. We're gonna go and see the damages that you have. I said under normal circumstances, because at this time, we are obviously caught up, but at the beginning, it will take more than 10 days for those inspections to go out. Now, as said, caught up, it might take 7 to 10 days for you to get an inspection. The inspections do not charge to inspect your house. So if you have an inspector that calls you and said, hey, Millie, I'm calling you for $29.99. I can speak the process of your inspection. That is not true. FEMA employees do not charge to inspect the house or to fill out the application for you. So that it's a scam. Don't pay attention to them. If they call you, hang up, and make sure there's a front number in the FEMA webpage that you can call and let know, or you can even call the helpline number, which is 1-800-621-3362 to give us information about the inspections. Okay. So once all this process happened, which we already know that in some cases it takes a little longer than others because insurance and other circumstances, you know, some people are like, well, I filled out in October and I haven't heard from you guys. You know, sometimes you don't realize. I find out today person that she was really upset. She said, I received a letter that you guys kicked me out of the program. The first thing I said, can I verify the information that we have on file from you? And her phone number was incorrect. She never called the FEMA number. She saw us. So there could be things that mistakes, you know, even when we fill out the application. If it's a number on her phone number, of course, we couldn't get a hold of her. And we put a WVO, which is a withdrawal. But she got reinstated today, but she didn't even call until she saw us today. So if you see that it's taking too long, give us a call. Look at the status on your of your application on your phone. And it's important that we are taking long, but if you see that it's taking 60 days, they're okay. So tonight, like we said earlier, we're gonna have people here to help you with the status of your application. Any questions or any concerns? What happens if you are not in agreement with a decision that FEMA has on your case? You can always appeal. You have 60 days, the days and the letters to appeal any FEMA decision. Just make sure you read your letters, you understand the reason. If it's a denial, you understand the reason of it. If it's that you don't agree with the amount of money that you receive, make sure that you have estimates and something that says, hey, you pay me only $7,000, but I have an estimate that it will cost me 20 grand. So we need those because we can only go by what we saw at the beginning. So just make sure you keep us on the loop of what's going on too. And obviously there's other programs that FEMA has that are not part of these two buckets for housing assistance and other need assistance. You guys touch a good point. You guys have been Debbie, then Helene, and then Milton, and a couple of years back, you got other storms, you know. So FEMA has what it's called a crisis lane, which is staff at the Disaster Recovery Centers, or I have a phone number that I can give you guys if you want to talk about it. About if you need someone to talk to, these are things that are available for you guys. We also have disaster legal services at the Disaster Recovery Centers. If you're having issues with your insurance, if you're having issues with your landlord, if you're having issues that you need a lawyer, we have pro bono services that are hired by the Young Lawyers Association that FEMA pays for those. Those are available to you guys too. And FEMA doesn't cover everything. I mean, you guys know that, some of your damages are way much than $43,600. Well, we have partners. We have the voluntary agencies, which are also at the disaster recovery centers that are in constant communication with churches, other faith-based companies that can help fill up those gaps that we can. But you need to let us know what are those gaps, and we'll try our best, to help you cover those or get the information that you need. Okay. So we also have the Red Cross, which is also have an amazing, if you go to redcross.org, they have an amazing webpage with a lot of information that it's really good if you guys have any questions or any concerns in regard of things that FEMA doesn't cover, like paying your water bill, paying your electric bill, paying your monthly rent. That's how big that Red Cross bucket is. So if you haven't seen it, it is under redcross.org, and it's really, really good. You just have to put your zip code, and everything that you need will show up. That is all I have. I'm going to pass it on to Miss Anna for the Small Business Administration, which is another federal agency that can help meet the gaps that we can do. And Miss Anna will have some really good information for you guys.
Really quick, could you answer some questions for you before we pass it on? Yeah, you go ahead.
So we So I did want to fire insurance. So we don't have. I think Sean, the same question is on insurance. We just assume, okay, someone else needs. So that was one question. Is there's something that we can do for assistance for Milton, except for the fact that we are still
So if your disasters for Milton flood related, they are. Okay. Does your house has a requirement for flood insurance?
Does for the 6, 8, 9, 8. So yes, we should have had flood insurance, but they weren't going to a lot. Charges $11,000. Can't. So
Okay.
you get it. So I assume that flood damage. I'm going to say that people will care after that. It comes out to about $13,000. So I'm not asking for that, but I'm wondering, is there any assistance for us to be able to store items, as you said, that we can store items because we're getting
Okay, it's going to depend whether or not you have that in flood insurance code that it will make you eligible or ineligible.
Flood insurance. I assume you should absolutely apply for any assistance. But Liz referred to some properties, they have what's called a maintenance requirement for flood insurance because they see them by floods. The property has not been very severe. Maintain a flood insurance policy, but your regard. Certainly not unhabitable. So either way, bottom line definitely apply. Oh.
Yes.
Mike, and I apologize. My name is Ian. I work for the state of Florida, but I work in individual assistance. And to answer your question, sir, yes, you absolutely should apply of January to do so for Hurricane Milton. We can get you registered here tonight, provide some basic information, and they can, if you haven't already, and get you an application in for IA. But that is something that I would strongly encourage. And then SBA is about to talk, but they can provide additional funding mechanisms for home repair in the event that you're ineligible for home repair assistance for FEMA, or if you need additional funding beyond what FEMA can provide.
And I'll just tell you that the gentleman asked a question about whether or not he had to carry flood insurance to get into assistance. And as we heard from IA and individual assistance from the Florida Division of Emergency Management, that no, please apply even if you didn't carry that flood insurance.
January 7th is the last day for either Milton or Hilling.
Yes, let me see here. So we had a question in the chat. It says, I'm waiting for an insurance estimate. How long do they have to let us know what that may be, and can FEMA assist with that? I think you touched on that as well, that you guys are specifically like.
Yeah, if they're still waiting for their insurance company to send them any information, whenever they receive that information from their insurance company, just make sure they either upload that information on their file or go to a disaster recovery center. It doesn't matter when they get it, it's important that we get them into their file as soon as possible. Or as soon as obviously they get it from their insurance company.
Got you. Next question is, what is a FEMA for forbearance and how does it work? I have an FHA. Yeah.
I'll take that one. I can get more information on it,
Okay.
but yeah,
Yeah.
go ahead.
We can circle back to that.
Yeah, I can circle back on that.
All right. Yeah, I think that's it for the chat as of right now.
Okay, if anybody has any other questions,
We can circle back.
yeah, we can circle back and I'll circle back on that one. And again, I'll leave it to Ms. Anna for small business administration, which is another option that you have, sir. So. They're coming. They're probably into other stuff. All right.
Thank you very much. My name is Anna Nunez. I am a public affairs specialist with the U.S. Small Business Administration's Office of Disaster Recovery and Resilience. I'm also here as a disaster survivor. I am from Houston, Texas, and have endured numerous hurricanes, tropical storms, flooding. And so from a personal standpoint, please know that my heart is with you. And I also work for FEMA doing housing assessments. So my heart is with you and we are here to help you. First, I want to thank the Florida Division of Emergency Management for organizing this really important event and allowing me to share. And thank you to Charlotte County and the Sonshine Baptist Church for allowing us to use your facilities and inviting everyone here today. In times of disaster, the SBA helps businesses, nonprofits, organization homeowners and renters with their uninsured or underinsured disaster-related losses. You do not have to have a business to qualify or to apply for an SBA disaster loan. So Charlotte County was declared a primary county in the Florida Presidential Disaster Declaration and is eligible for both physical and economic injury disaster loans from the SBA. Charlotte County residents can apply for 3 types of SBA disaster loans. The first one is a business physical damage loan for up to $2 million to cover physical damage and financial losses. Home disaster loans for up to $500,000 to cover damage to primary residences and up to $100,000 for homeowners and renters to replace disaster damaged personal property such as clothing, furniture, appliances, and vehicles. Economic injury disaster loans for up to $2 million to help small businesses and nonprofits to meet ordinary and necessary financial obligations. Some of the benefits of an SBA disaster loan is there's no fee to apply. For an SBA, low fixed interest rates well be under bank interest rates with terms up to 30 years. There's no payment and no interest for 12 months. There's no need to wait for insurance to settle before applying. Funds are also available to build back better and protect against future disasters. And these are called mitigation loans. Folks who are offered an SBA disaster loan are also under no obligation to take the loan, and you have 60 days to decide to accept. I'm going to echo my colleague FEMA by saying apply. The application deadline for physical damage loans has been extended, the same as FEMA, to January the 7th, 2025. However, the deadline application for economic injury disaster loans is July the 11th, 2025. I'm going to do something unusual, and I'm going to apologize to you. I was at another event this morning, and I drove 2 hours over here, and I realized I forgot my box material, and I am so sorry, but I'm going to give you an easy phone number and website where you can get more information. I will be here. I thought that there were going to be other SBA customer service representatives. So, but I will be here in the back if you want to ask questions. I will be here till the very end. But you can log on to, it's very easy, sba.gov/disaster. SBA.gov disaster, or you can call 1-800-659-2955. 1-800-659-2955. The easiest thing if you need assistance is go to a FEMA Disaster Resource Center, because there are SBA customer service representatives that will sit with you. In our last, and thanks to FEMA, earlier today at another town, a lady came in, and I've heard this echoed by FEMA managers that are over disaster recovery centers, who say, if you get a rejection letter, come in. Sometimes it's just a minor something you forgot to fill out. We're going to help you. We'll figure it out what happened. And so a lady came in and she had applied, and a customer service representative with SBA, she got on the line. She had the persons on speaker, and they notified this elderly woman who had applied for disaster loan that she did get qualified, and she was almost in tears, and she said, "This is the best news I've heard all day." And this is why we are here. We are here to help you, and we are here to serve you. And please go to any FEMA center, disaster center, and there will be SBA customer service representatives, and both of us are working together so that we can help you in your disaster recovery. Thank you. Yes, sir.
Same thing.
So that will be coupled on to your loan once you qualify, and then they will add that to that existing loan. It's not a separate, it's together. Yes.
Also, the chat asks, when will they get money to loan out?
So we are dependent upon Congress funding the SBA, and so we're waiting. However, it is incumbent upon folks to get in line, to get approved, because first come, first served. The first people who are already qualified and approved, once that funding comes, you will be the first ones that will be paid those loans. And so that's why it's imperative. We're working really hard to serve the American public, and we invite you to please apply again, sba.gov/disaster. Thank you. Yes, sir.
Thank you. I know we're going to hear more about the FEMA programs for elevation and rebuilding of homes to mitigate against floods. Can SBA loans be used for the match for some of those programs?
I don't know the technical, and I do apologize. I wish my CSRs were here, my customer service representatives. I will circle that. I'll have to circle back on that. I do apologize.
Yeah, we would encourage. I'll speak on that if SBA. Because many of, and you'll hear more about this momentarily, but those are reimbursement grants. So you have to have the capital funding up front to be able to pay for some of that elevation work, et cetera. So another funding mechanism that we would strongly encourage folks to exercise in order to be able to access the capital to do work to your property to mitigate future impacts would be SBA loans. That's going to be one of the best resources to be able to get the amount of funds that you need to be able to perform that work. To answer Patrick's question. I think it's my turn, so I'll just stay up here. Thanks, SBA. Thank you, Millie from FEMA. Thank you, directors, for the opportunity to speak to you all here tonight. My name is Ian Olin. I am the state's individual assistance officer. And in individual assistance, we're really focused on trying to maximize the amount of assistance that's available to Floridians who've been impacted by disaster. We work very closely with our federal counterparts to be able to turn on the right forms of assistance, kind of get those programs maxed out to make sure that you all have the resources that you need. And you've heard a lot about the federal resources that are available. There's also state assistance here in Florida that we want to make sure that you're aware of, that you have access to. I often describe individual recovery as a puzzle, not because it's puzzling, but because it requires a lot of different pieces to be able to see it through to the end, right? To make sure that you have what you need to be able to get back in your home or make your home more resilient against future impacts, or even to pay for basic essentials of things that you may have lost in the disaster. So the first state program that I want to highlight for you is called Hope Florida, administered by the Florida Department of Children and Families. The Hope Florida initiative helps connect residents with a whole network of state agencies, including the Florida Division of Emergency Management, as well as a whole variety of local resources that can help you with your individual resiliency and also your disaster recovery. Activate Hope is the emergency response arm of the Hope Florida network and can provide you with information, referrals to organizations who can help, as well as disaster-specific resources for things like food, clothing, shelter. We often provide people help technical assistance navigating federal programs. So things like FEMA and SBA. My team is proud to try and help folks where we can in navigating through federal programs. You can contact Hope Florida by going to hopeflorida.com or by calling 833-GET-HOPE. Again, that's hopeflorida.com and 833-GET-HOPE. But we also have some folks here in the back of the room tonight. Roger's got his hand raised. They can help you get registered with Hope Florida so that you can get additional information through that network. If you've been displaced as a result of a disaster, we can also potentially offer assistance through Hope Florida. We have what's called the State Non-Congregate Sheltering Program. Some folks may be familiar with FEMA's TSA or Transitional Sheltering Assistance Program. The state also has a program to help folks who've been displaced with temporary shelter. So if you or any of your neighbors, anyone you know, their home is uninhabitable, they're staying with friends and family, but that's sort of a tenuous situation and they don't know how long that warm welcome is going to last, we strongly encourage you to contact Hope Florida as well as register for FEMA Individual Assistance because we can help out by getting folks placed in a safe hotel room. That program runs for up to 6 months from the date of disaster declaration. So while you navigate your journey of trying to figure out what your more interim housing solution is going to be, whether that's a temporary rental or something else, we can provide that sheltering assistance to make sure we meet the needs here at the local level. The other thing I really want to talk to you about, something that gets often overlooked, is the State Housing Initiatives Partnership or SHIP program. These are state dollars that are allocated on an annual basis by the Florida legislature down to the local level. Every single county here in Florida has a SHIP administrator, and their office is charged with helping support affordable housing here in local communities. Now, every community gets to decide how those funds are used, but many of the common uses include relocation, repair, down payments, first and last month's rent, and affordable housing initiatives. So I strongly encourage you to contact your local housing authority here in Charlotte County if you think you may be in need of assistance through the SHIP program. Again, every single SHIP administrator has a local housing plan, and that usually has a disaster annex, which identifies ways that those funds can help assist in the wake of disaster. And the last thing I want to highlight, and I think this is critically important, Millie touched on disaster legal services. Oftentimes when you're navigating disaster recovery, you may not realize it right away, but legal aid can make all the difference in terms of helping you have that successful recovery. We often see landlord-tenant issues. Unfortunately, people have become victim of contractor fraud, home deed, title, heirship property issues. They can assist with FEMA appeals. I want to foot stomp and echo something that I think Millie mentioned, which is that every single FEMA applicant has a right to appeal that FEMA determination. And that means both eligibility as well as grant award amounts. So you can appeal if you don't agree with FEMA's decision about what you qualify for, but also even if you do qualify for FEMA assistance and you do receive grants. Let's say FEMA says they come and inspect your property and they determine that you have $10,000 worth of damage to your home. Then you start talking to contractors and the lowest quote you can get is $20,000. Well, it's not the end of the line. You can provide those quotes to FEMA and they can adjust your award amount to better match what you actually need to make sure you get your property fixed. So you can appeal that decision and everyone has a right to appeal. Can't appeal if you don't apply first though. So step one, make sure you apply before January 7th. The helpline, the Florida Disaster Legal Aid Helpline is 833-514-2940. Again, that's 833-514-2940. And the last thing I want to highlight and talk to you folks about is I know we heard in the chat online that there's some folks who may be facing insurance issues. And I know the gentleman here mentioned kind of going through it with your insurance underwriter. The Florida Chief Financial Officer, CFO's Office, Division of Financial and Consumer Services, also has a helpline that you can report those issues to. And that phone number is 1-877-MY-FLORIDA-CFO. That's 877-693-5236. I'm happy to take any questions anyone may have, but also if you don't feel comfortable asking questions in front of the crowd, I'll be here after.
Not sure my insurance issue for Ian is still with my insurance company. We settled with a lawyer but we can't receive payment yet because initially after Ian, I signed a contract with a contractor because he was going to do things that he never did. And then in the end, I ended up settling with the insurance company through a lawyer, and I'm still bound to this contractor for the things that he wants to be paid for, which is no work. He just wants 10% of the contract that he put together 6 months after that went to my lawyer, which is not something I ever signed. He just sent it to the lawyer, and now he's telling me I owe him $26,000.
So this sounds like a legal issue, and I would encourage you, if you are already working with an attorney, I would encourage you
So
to.
my most recent contact with the attorney that looked like it might resolve this was about a month ago. And he said, I think we'll be able to get that contractor's name off the check. But they can still put a lien on our property and say we owe this money.
I would honestly encourage you to get a second opinion from attorneys who specialize in disaster legal services, because I am not familiar with this particular issue, but I guarantee that they've probably seen it before, and they may be able to provide you with the right counsel on what your next steps or your actions should be. That disaster legal services, a line that's pro bono legal services. They're not going to charge you for their advice. They do have some income limits as far as representation goes, but they can always have a conversation. That's free, and they can offer their advice on maybe what next steps would look like. Any other questions?
In the chat, we also got a question about the income limits as well. And is there anyone I can contact regarding county recovery effort changes? County would like to answer that one.
The income limits, I'll leave that to our state and federal partners. I would ask for a few more specifics on county recovery changes, what that means, if they can put that in the chat. I have a few things to say, and maybe I'll circle back if they have updated that question. As far as the SHIP administrator, the State Housing Initiative Program Administrator for the county, they work within the Charlotte County Human Services Department. That number is 941-833-6500. They also work out of the Family Services Center. This is an umbrella organization for a lot of our nonprofits. They see to unmet needs as they have an application process. It is no guarantee of assistance. Very often this comes after you've worked your way through the FEMA insurance world, but they do have resources at their disposal, usually charitable these organizations. They'll work together that can assist. You can go to COADFL, so it's COADFL, or you can call them at 941-769-5162. Is there an update to that question?
I think they were initially just asking about any limitations, like income limitations on pretty much any of these programs that have been mentioned as of yet.
So there's not going to be any income limits or like means testing as far as FEMA individual assistance goes. SBA does run credit checks, but it's not quite exactly the same as you would find from a bank, et cetera. But for FEMA, the Hope Florida program, no, there is no doing certain needs testing there.
Got it.
So for the second part of that question, when it talks about county recovery, if there are specific questions to Charlotte County, they call out.
Portion of the presentation, again, if any questions come up after this, I'm happy to take them on. I will pass it over to Molly.
Good evening. My name is Molly Kaput, and I work with the FEMA in the National Flood Insurance Program, which during disasters is under the Hazard Mitigation Group. State for participation in the National Flood Insurance Program in your local communities, then homes, that usually means elevating or tearing down the building. So what FEMA does post-disaster medical assistance and training on it to making sure that they're visiting with your local floodplain administrator and helping them and helping them through this process. FEMA does not make the determinations. FEMA does not determine your market value. I know some of the letters from the county property appraisers are saying FEMA 50%. That is local county property appraiser are setting the market value for your home. And damage, floodplain management, if you have any questions about that, but I will turn it over to the state if there are no questions about that aspect of recovery.
All right. Good evening, everyone. My name is Sabrina. I'm one of the mitigation planners at the state with Florida Division of Emergency Management. And today I'm going to be talking.
Okay, at this time, I'd like to look and see if there's anyone online that has any questions or anything that they would like additionally addressed or concerns on their mind. Okay, while he is doing that, as they have stated over here in this area, we've got our individual sections that are going to be set up, whether it's a flyer, whether it's follow-on information or additional questions that you may have. That is an opportunity. We're going to stay here until we at least address everything that is on your mind, or at least you give us some homework to take away, get your contact information so that we can follow up with that directly. That is the exact reason why we are here. Yes, sir.
One other thing I heard was something about have to do things to mitigate the problems with your house. You might have some savings in taxes. Is that true?
I'm not aware of taxes or savings being impacted. No, sir.
So Representative Stubbe did pass something just very recently for some type of tax relief for impacted survivors from our recent disasters. The specifics of that I don't have here locally, but there is some type of relief out there. I'm not sure what the thresholds are.
I'm pretty sure it's being run through local property appraisers. And I want to say, and again, don't quote me on this. So if I say some misinformation, I apologize. But to my understanding, it's if you've been displaced from your residence for 30 days or more, that you can get property tax relief. But again, do not quote me on that because I'm not a property tax expert.
But that's a good follow-up question for us to take back. I am not aware that, I know that the legislation was presented. I am not aware that it actually passed, but it does make sense that the qualification would be a 30-day displacement, therefore offsetting, the aggregate of 11 months versus 12 months for tax purposes. But we'll get your information specifically, sir, and get you that answer.
So we ended up getting a question in the chat from a citizen of the county who say real quick. Scroll this up here. They mentioned that they had a couple of things to suggest for pre and post hurricane around the Lake Worth area, and who and when can they bring that up? Do you want them to just reach out to the county emergency management? Okay. So to reach out to Palm Beach County Emergency Management to get those questions answered, and make those suggestions.
Okay. Thank you all for your time. Thank you all for, I see an alibi.
I just want to go back to a question that I was in the chat earlier.
Sorry, this is Millie. I just want to go back to the question. What is FEMA forbearance and how does it work? and I have an FHA loan. So FEMA are grants, so we don't have a forbearance, which is a stopped payments to your loans. So if you have an FHA and you need a forbearance, you need to reach out to them, not to FEMA. That's it. Here you go, Steve.
Hi, I'm David with FEMA. I'll be really quick. Just to build on what Millie was saying there. So if you go to HUD.gov online and you scroll down to the middle or toward the bottom of the page, it talks a little bit about FHA-backed mortgages with involving people who are in presidential declared disaster areas. And it does talk about how you may be eligible for forbearance as well as some other protections. And what HUD recommends is that you reach out to your mortgage lender or the company that services that you make your payments to, let them know that you are in a presidentially declared disaster area, and they'll work with you. But there's more information and fact sheets on the HUD.gov website because FHA is part of them. Also, just real quick, I know everyone's had a long day, so I won't take too much time, but just want to make sure that, you know, anyone who has losses that were not completely covered by insurance, if you haven't applied for FEMA assistance, please do that. You can do that tonight before you leave. We've got a couple of people here. Also, if you don't want to do it tonight, you can also come to our Disaster Recovery Center. The nearest one is at the Tringali Community Center in Englewood. It's open Monday through Saturday from 7 to 7. You can also apply online at DisasterAssistance.gov, or you can call us at 800-621-3362. Again, that's 800-621-3362. Also, if you have applied and you haven't heard anything, or you got a letter and you think you've been completely denied, please check in with us, because often, extremely often, it's something very simple where all we need is just maybe proof of residence. You know, in some cases, we just need a utility bill that's got someone that has your name or address on it. In other cases, I see often where someone got married and they apply with their married name, but their social security number checks back to their last name before they got married. And so we just need proof that it's the same person, which is relatively easy to provide. So again, you can come see us, or you can call us or visit the Disaster Recovery Center so that we can look up your information and make sure that you're aware if there's anything else outstanding that we're waiting for from you. But I just see a lot of people, unfortunately, who think they were denied, and we look into their case and it's like, no, this is all we need to be able to approve you. So really encourage you to do that either tonight or going to our DRC or giving us a call. Thank you.
I also wanted to mention from a personal standpoint, I'm a single mom, and when my daughter was 3, she's in college now, my roof caved in after a severe hurricane. And thanks to FEMA, they allowed us to stay in a hotel. So I am so grateful for FEMA. I just wanted to quickly answer the question on the mitigation. I just wanted to read a question and read the answer very quickly. Is there help with funding mitigation improvements? If your loan application is approved, you may be eligible for additional funds to cover the cost of improvements that will protect your property against future damage. Examples of improvements include retaining walls, seawalls, sump pumps, etc. Mitigation loan money would be in addition to the amount of the approved loan, but may not exceed 20% of total amount of physical damage to real property, including leasehold improvements and personal property as verified by SBA, to a maximum of $500,000 for home loans. It is not necessary for the description of improvements and cost estimates to be submitted with the application. SBA approval of the mitigating measures will be required before any loan increase. Again, SBA.gov/disaster or 1-800-659-2955. We're here to help. Thank you.
Okay, so in summary, because I do want to give you folks some time to get over to the individual sections. There's no sure way of guaranteeing resources, but there is a sure way of not getting resources, and that's not registering. So just because you register, there's no obligation. There's no incurred cost to you to do that, but times do matter, specifically dates of the event, dates of the storm. You mentioned Ian earlier, there was a time lapse for eligibility window for Ian, but then what do we do as we go through the subsequent storms? So these are those opportunities for taking the time to go ahead and register. And, I see folks step up from SBA. I may have missed it, but when you hear Small Business Administration, you think business, but there is an individual, homeowner access to that. And then that interest rate is significantly lower than the interest rate you're going to be getting on traditional loans. And then there is a 12-month, up to 12-month deferment period before payments are even taken. So you're at a smaller interest rate. You're not making that first year's worth of payments. You're not accruing interest during that time period. And then you can also, in some instances, leverage your existing mortgage against that new loan. So in all, there is a path there to really capitalize on some loan. Now, we talked grants tonight and we talked loans. And you know the difference with grants and loans. I don't mean to speak to folks as though they don't. Loans you will pay back and there will be interest. Grants are granted monies for you. Yes.
Also, so you're not obligated to close on an SBA loan, but apply for all the opportunities. If you find out down the line,
You're good.
we need to just mic the room. I apologize. Apply for SBA while you have the opportunity to do so. I talk to folks all the time who find out 6 months, 8 months later, I need additional funds I didn't realize I needed. And they never applied with SBA. And it's not impossible to apply later, but it's difficult, to be honest. So while you have the opportunity to do so ahead of January 7th, at least apply. You heard them mention that funding is coming. Congress will act. They will fund the Small Business Administration, and you will have access to that money if you need it.
Okay. At this time, we'll go ahead and shut it down for here. That's the formal portion. The informal, the one-on-ones, they can now commence. Thank you all so much for having us.
Hey, Keith, we got one more question in the chat, but it's up to you.
Go ahead.
So
I can stand for screen.
yeah, no problem. Last question. Are the campers still available for people who had a total loss, and how do you get one?
Yes, they are.
Yeah. Okay, so yes, they are still available.
Travel trailers and that program is still available. I will get Ian over here right now and let's grab that user's information.
Mhm.
And we make sure that we answer that in the public forum here. Hold on a second.
Yeah, there was at least 50, 60. Yeah, there was a good. No, you're good. There was at least 50, 60
Okay.
between there.
Okay.
What part of Houston are you from? Okay.
Oh, it's okay.
I grew up in Pearland.
Oh, did
Yeah.
you? Okay.
So,
very
yeah,
nice.
I was just Houston. But
I have
but yeah.
another SBA guy I met in Virginia. It was at an agriculture day thing, and he goes, "Where are you from?" And he said he was from Houston. I said, "Really, what part?" He goes, "Sugarland." And I said, "You're not Houston." I said, "That's Houston."
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh."
Yeah.
So, and then he had the nerve to say, "Where are you from?" And I said, "Northside."
Right.
And he says, "There's no such thing as Northside." Starts arguing, and I started to walk back.
Whatever.
Yes. And then I even, so many of the inner city high schools,
Mhm.
they were named after, we're not on.
Good. Yes.
Where can I apply for?
The campers and how do they get one?
So if someone has been displaced as a result of the disaster, we encourage them to apply with Hope Florida. That's hopeflorida.com and 833 Get Hope. When you apply with Hope Florida, indicate that you've been displaced as a result of the disaster. you'll be referred for assistance potentially through the state's non-congregate sheltering program. We are prioritizing placement in hotels, but for certain circumstances and certain instances, we are also utilizing travel trailers where hotels are unavailable.
Transcript.
Three, get.
It saves the recording after. Also, if you put your email below, after the meeting's over, I'll be able to send you the full video.
I believe I have a question. If anything comes up, submit.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Jan.